on locations throughout the world.
Standing passengers, please do not lean against the doors.
Picture goers, we bring to you new films of interest.
Chicago in State is next. Doors open on the left.
The miracle of the motion picture.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.
Chicago's a nice town if you're looking for pizza.
Welcome to 4 Stars, a Chicago film podcast. A podcast about movies set in or based in the Chicago area. I'm one of your hosts, Jeremy Martyr. I'm a manager at the Music Box Theater.
And I'm Paco Alvarez, a journalist based in Chicago. And this episode is our first dispatch out of the Chicago International Film Festival, which we are covering.
Yeah. It's Hugo season, Paco. Everyone's got Hugo fever.
Is that the name of the...
That's what you win.
Oh, okay.
The Golden Hugo.
Isn't it? I think that's also what you win for sci-fi.
So today we're going to just be checking in on what we've been watching with the festival. Paco and I have been, pounding the pavement, going to different screenings. You guys are waiting to hear our takes. We're going to start our conversation off today by talking about the film that launched the festival, the opening night screening of One Golden Summer.
Yes, it is the world premiere of One Golden Summer. In
The
fact.
world premiere, yeah.
Directed by Kevin Shaw.
Mm-hmm. What's One Golden Summer about?
In 2014, Chicago's Jackie Robinson West Little League team became the first all-black team to win the Little League U.S. Baseball Championship. Along the way, 13 12-year-old athletes from the South Side turned into media superstars. So, the documentary. It's a documentary about the Jackie Robinson West Little League team.
Yeah, and the controversy that emerged from their victory.
Yes. From their victory of the U.S. Baseball Championship. It is kind of funny that they didn't win
the overall.
Yeah.
yeah. The documentary and the parents of the kids definitely hand wave that part.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
No, it's fine. It was a really big deal. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about baseball, so I had no idea.
Yeah. I wasn't like locked into it.
That was right before we started college.
Yeah.
So I think we just had other things
going on.
Yeah.
I remember it as a story, though. I especially remember when I heard that there was a scandal. But I wasn't as locked into what was actually going on or what the story was behind these kids. So let's walk through it a little bit. So you liked the film. You liked the picture.
Yes, for the most part. I enjoyed it. I think it was, even though I was living in Chicago during this time, I don't follow baseball. I don't know anything about baseball except for the 1919 World Series, as we've talked about. So I think it was interesting to see a different angle of Chicago than I'm used to, and kind of seeing what people were celebrating at the time.
Yeah.
And I think it did a good job of portraying both the complexities of Chicago and then also of the baseball team and sort of the controversy itself, all the different angles they're playing into it.
So just to walk you through what this movie is about, it's about 13 kids who get together on a baseball team from the South Side of Chicago.
Yes,
and they go on this miracle run. They started beating teams by a lot. They started walking all over certain teams and started getting the energy that they could do it. Each of the kids sort of gets walked through as what their specialty is, what they did. And you start to get to know them as characters. They're pretty memorable, pretty funny.
Yes, it features interviews with, I believe, 6 of the boys. Of the boys now. Mm-hmm. I guess they're men now. But
yeah. And at the premiere, there was two of the boys who are now men up on stage talking about it.
But yeah, they're part of the official Little League, the official Little League
World Series
mm-hmm. League, and they make it past the sectionals into the countrywide competition, mm-hmm. and
which is called the Little League World Series.
Yeah, mm-hmm. And it becomes it's not even a country competition. It's literally the whole
worldwide competition. Yeah, and there's sort of 2 brackets. There's the U.S. side. And there's the international side.
Yes.
That's the way that they break it down.
Yeah.
And basically the boys went on this miracle run where they basically only lost once that season, and just go on a tear, building confidence along the way, becoming minor celebrities, and steamrolling all these other teams.
Yeah, and I think it was interesting that they were one of the first all-black team to make it to the championships. And then the way I thought the movie was interesting, the way that it portrayed kind of like the media frenzy around them.
Yes.
Where it became they became stand-ins for something that they weren't actually.
Yeah.
Where
these
it's like
inner city kids, these like there was this portrayal of them just because they were black.
Yeah. And from Chicago.
That there was this like rags to riches, like look what the sport's doing for them. Look what we're doing by rooting for them. And like the reality was that these kids came from a middle class background.
Yeah.
Came from basically where the rest of the kids who play baseball come from. Like it's they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
And that's what the documentary is basically there to underline. That these kids are just like every other kid.
Yeah.
And
they got put into this position of being like a representation of something that they weren't really.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of consequences as a result of that.
Yeah. And I think like baseball history is black history. Like that is like a big part of the sport and a big part of like their team is named after Jackie Robinson, right?
Yes.
So they do have this weight of representation of, breaking barriers and all these things. But they're just kids and they're just trying to have fun. They're just trying to play. So the turn of this documentary, do you want to talk a little bit about that now?
Yeah, sure. So after they win the U.S. championship,
Yes,
they come home like kind of reigning champions, or not reigning champions, but they come home and like
they were the champions. They were they won the Little League World Series.
There's like
for
parades.
The US
Yeah,
sides,
it's like a huge deal
in Chicago.
Yeah,
we don't win shit.
Yeah,
yeah,
especially around that time.
No.
It was around when
the Hawks were winning.
Yeah.
Which there's an interesting Blackhawks thing.
There is. And then when they come a few months after, there's one of the teams that they beat. The coach of theirs starts like looking into the players, where they're each from, and he suspects that they are like from outside the boundaries of like whatever district that their team is supposed to be based out of. And then that kind of the official Little League like investigates it, but kind of throws it out, or says it's like they're completely fine. And then the Chicago Sun-Times starts like reporting on it and like digging it deeper. And it turns out some of the kids like either they were from the suburbs, but the parents thought that they received a waiver, or like maybe they like their dad was from, or like maybe like their parents lived in like either Chicago and the suburbs, and like they were divorced or something.
Parents.
Yeah. It was like this complicated like mess essentially, where like everyone thought that they were fine, but it turns out that like when the Little League did another investigation, it turns out that
the Little League was totally fine with it when they were making money off the kids.
Yeah, definitely.
And then when it comes time to punish the kids, they're the ones who suffer from it.
Yes. And the documentary points out that the kids didn't know that the championship was even taken away from them until it was reported on ESPN.
Exactly. That's the side of things where it's devastating for these kids.
Mm-hmm.
That is that the sort of putting someone up on a pedestal and knocking them down thing is a classic American media story.
Yes. And then the initial coach who had brought up these issues kind of becomes the face of the controversy.
Yes.
Chris James.
He's a white man.
Yeah.
And there was a long pregnant pause there. I was going to say a white coach. He's white, and he gets sort of portrayed as this racist villain.
Mm-hmm.
Whether he meant it or not, it became that
racialized, definitely. And I mean, part of the movie kind of sets up him early on as one of the kind of thing that got them on his radar is like the fact that they beat his team by 42 points.
Right. There is that aspect.
Yes.
And while we're on this topic, I think we should talk about that scene a little bit.
Yes.
There's one very glaring and ugly use of generative AI in this movie. It's for that scene when the Jackie Robinson West team beats that coach's team. They use generated images, videos, to represent both the boys themselves and the other team, the crying kids, in generative AI.
Yes. It took me out immediately when it happened, and it was really disappointing given the rest of the movie is so much in the archives and like has like real footage, and it's so strange that that's the choice that they made. I don't know why.
Well, I think the act of watching this one movie was that it threw me off for the rest of the movie. Mm-hmm. That I was waiting for it to come back.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. It's literally just one scene.
Yeah.
And the movie is so humanist and so about these kids and about portraying people in this human light.
Yeah, and all their complexities, and that's why it's so weird that it's there.
It's so out of, if it was about technology and, I'm not someone who's like no use ever, but you need to justify it. It can't be in replacing work. And that's what it feels like here, is just like running out of time and not knowing what to put in there. But
But yeah, other than that, I mean, that was like my biggest issue with the film. I thought overall it does a good job of telling the story and like portraying the complexities of both the situation and Chicago itself.
Yeah. Have you ever watched any 30 for 30?
No.
It reminded me of a 30 for 30, which I love. That's not a diss or putting this down, like calling it TV at all. I think that those documentaries are really well made and so interesting. I think that I wanted at times for this movie to go a little harder on, there's one parent or the person who started the league who didn't respond to comments.
His son, yeah. Well, at a certain point, you can't make allegations without someone's response,
right?
So I think that might just be a result of
them not being able to.
Yeah.
And then the Little League World Series, who were the real villains here.
Yeah, and they also didn't respond. So
yeah, maybe someone will pick up the pieces years from now and make another movie about the same thing. Yeah. Maybe check in with the kids. I think it would be kind of cool if they did like a 7-Up.
Yeah, that would
check in
nice.
every few years in these kids' lives. I'm rooting for them. Like if they get drafted and make the MLB, I'll be rooting for them.
I guess one last thing: were you when you played baseball as a kid? Were you part of like the official Little League thing?
No, no. I played rec. I played at Wells Park. Which is not Little League. That's travel. I did try out for a travel team. Mm-hmm. The pressures of it are so
it seems really intense.
And I probably could have played on the team. They could have used me. I was fast and I was small. I walked a lot and I stole a lot of bases, but I wasn't like I wasn't about to make that my life. Yeah. And it was coming at the point where I was losing interest in the sport of baseball. And I was finding other things, art, weed, other avenues of expression that doesn't exactly line up with playing baseball all the time. And I had to come back and find baseball later in life. So this is sort of like concluded my year of baseball, Paco. Like having my baseball series early in the year, and watching this in the theater, and watching this and the Q&A in the theater. Mm-hmm. It was really, for me, it felt like a good sort of cap on the year for myself. All right, so the next movie we'll be talking about is A Useful Ghost by Ratchapoom Boonbunchachoke, a Thai filmmaker. The description of this movie is vengeful ghosts possess vacuum cleaners and a supernatural sense of justice converge in this charmingly absurd fable of memory, loss, and grief. Paco, what did you think of the movie?
So this was the first movie we saw as part of the festival. I had never heard of this director. It's his debut, so I guess that makes sense. But I was looking forward to it because it just sounds like kind of cool and silly. I would say that the silly portions weren't exactly my cup of tea. It's a pretty long movie, 2 hours and 10 minutes. The first half is more of a comedy, I would say, and I wasn't super invested in a lot of... I think just in general, comedy is hard for me. Like movies in general and comedy, just like enjoying comedy is hard for me.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, is this thing on? And then comedy from other countries is also even harder. And so I think that I had trouble investing in the story when it was kind of like a sillier, like, oh, these ghosts are possessing kind of appliances and stuff. And the second half becomes this meditation on, death, who we mourn, how we mourn, and the ways that we like erase it from our lives. And I thought I was really locked into that.
Yeah. I really liked the comedy aspects. I was pretty all in on this movie. Have you ever seen the works of like Roy Andersson?
No.
Swedish filmmaker. I really thought in like the first half, I was like sort of locked in on like the Julio Torres, like found objects coming to life, Roy Andersson, sort of deadpan worker comedy stuff. The other filmmaker who came to mind a lot was Peter Strickland, who's one of my favorite filmmakers. Yeah, I just really thought that the first half comedy section was pretty effective at getting its point across while being light. And then when we get to the darker second half, it made sense that we landed there. And it didn't disappoint when we arrived at that sort of more somber reflection period. I really, really liked it. I thought that as we were talking about kind of right before this, I think there is a lot in this movie that I missed by not knowing Thai history. There's stuff with regional dialects that was really great that the subtitles pointed that out because we wouldn't have been able to tell the difference, but it read a lot about a character when they switched dialects. Yeah, it was a dark movie, and it made me laugh a lot. So I like movies that can walk that tightrope.
Yes. The movie reminded me a lot of... Have you read Walter Benjamin?
No, I have not, but I know who that is.
Walter Benjamin was a German philosopher who was Jewish. He wrote sort of in the Marxist lineage. He was kind of related to the Frankfurt School, but he was more of an art critic. He was kind of like a little bit more mystical than materialist. And he committed suicide while fleeing Nazi Germany. Mm-hmm. But his final, I believe it's his final work, is called On the Concept of History. It's also referred to as Theses on the Philosophy of History. And it's these kind of like theses thinking about the relationship to history to sort of like a revolutionary project, and thinking about like the relationship between our present and the past and like some kind of like revolutionary future. And so something he says that this movie reminded me of is about...
By the way, while Paco is doing this school section of the movie, this is also about a movie where a ghost vacuum sucks off a guy. Just FYI, I want you to keep that in mind while Paco talks about the Marxist lineage.
She doesn't suck him off. She plays with his nipples. His nipples.
She plays with his nipples, but then there's also the implied...
It's implied that it's about to happen, and then people walk in. That part actually reminded me. So, okay.
Walter Benjamin.
That part, I feel like the movie starts out, or one of the explanations for why the ghosts start haunting the appliances is that like a worker dies
in a factory.
And
the ghosts of those workers haunt the electric, the electronics that factory produces, and then the son of the factory owner,
yes,
his wife who has passed away from a respiratory disease, haunts one of the vacuums and becomes a useful ghost.
Yes, and
useful to what you say.
Yes, speaking to the useful thing. Well, first off, the thing about the appliances, the first thing I thought of when the worker died and then it was haunting the appliances was the quote, or the kind of the idea that Marx has that like commodities are dead labor, like workers have like the actual physical living labor, and then capital is this dead labor that like sucks off.
Yeah.
Sucks off the living.
Plays with the nipple as it were.
But anyway, so a useful ghost, what is she useful for? Something that Benjamin says is when he's talking about like kind of like the relationship between the past and what it can be used for, he mentions there's always this threat that the past is going to be used, is going to become a tool of the ruling classes. And he kind of has this idea that only that historian will have the gift of fanning the spark of hope in the past who is firmly convinced that even the dead will not be safe from the enemy if he wins. So it's this kind of idea that like, if fascism wins, they're not just going to like destroy the present and like all its possibilities. It's also going to like take over like whatever like kind of like wash over the past and like
clean it up.
Yeah, clean it up.
Sweep up the dust.
Yeah. And sort of, and I mean, and that's why I think with the movie, what the useful ghost ends up doing, a spoiler alert, but kind of working with the ruling classes to stop other ghosts who are memories of like a more revolutionary past in Thailand.
Yeah. Loved all that stuff. I loved what it was saying about queer history, electric shock therapy, but not being, I mean, it's a very didactic movie.
Yeah.
But also what an interesting way to talk about that.
Yeah.
Also like the brother being gay, but once he was useful and making a profit, the family was okay with it.
Yeah.
I liked all that stuff. I also just like really responded well to like the respiratory, coughing, just like the way that our world, it's worth it, for development, all that stuff. When I was in college, I went to University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, and I had really bad allergies when I was down there. And in my apartment, like every day I would be like wiping and clearing dust. And I like talked to someone about that, and I was like what's going on here? And no one really had an answer until I took a class on weather patterns and stuff. And it was like for some credit that I had to cover. But they talked about how the University of Champaign and Champaign-Urbana itself is in this corridor of like a wind tunnel that picks up all the pollen and dust from like hundreds and hundreds of miles. And because we've destroyed like everything to just create soybean fields and cornfields, it creates like a huge issue, and it like develops respiratory diseases and has an environmental impact on animals and human beings. And I was like unable to unsee that afterwards. And I had to like do like 2 more years there, and I was miserable, and I was like waking up late and it's just interesting that the way that we impact our environment, the things that we do, and the way that it impacts us is really interesting to me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the movie is really trying to grapple with the lingering elements of the past that are haunting us, like either like literally in the context of the movie, like the ghosts, but then also I think, yeah, like metaphorically. And then also, yeah, like the dust in the movie. And also something I was thinking about with I don't think it's an accidental image that the first worker who we show dying in the factory is wearing a mask. And I feel like the movie is sort of a response to kind of like COVID and the ways that
bureaucratic.
Yeah, just like the ways that we've like, in order to like move past it, we've kind of like forced ourselves not to think about like the people who have died during it, and like so much of the movie is about like, you can't grieve because that gets in the way of like producing your vacuums and stuff, which are the things that clean us, which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, A Useful Ghost. I really enjoyed it. If you have a chance to see it, you should go check it out.
Do you want to just go back and forth and talk about some movies we saw so far at the festival?
Yes.
I'll start, actually.
Go ahead.
I'm going to talk about some animated movies I've seen. I'm going to try to see as many of the animated films at the festival. I do an animated series, Paco, called Animated Adventures. And there's this really great French film called Arco that's playing at the festival that I highly recommend. Have you heard of Arco?
Just from you.
Mm-hmm. Arco, fuck yourself.
Yeah, Arco, fuck yourself.
I really liked this. It was a sci-fi animated film that takes place far in the future, where human beings are living up above the clouds, and a little boy named Arco takes his sister's basically this like rainbow flying cloak thing that they use to travel through time. Because that's what in the future that we do. We go back and we collect things and use them to sort of develop the future. And there's strict rules about kids not using them. Mm-hmm. So he steals his older sister's rainbow time travel suit and goes back in time. And he doesn't go back in time till now. He goes back in time to a slightly in the future moment.
Okay.
Where like everyone's living, like the world is like climate catastrophe, but everyone's living in these little bubbles
Whoa.
where they're being sort of protected from it. But there's these encroaching forest fires. So it's like human beings have not yet figured out, they're not in harmony yet. And it becomes this like really interesting Mobius Hergé inspired like adventure mixed with like Hayao Miyazaki. I would say the character Arco meets, is this young girl who's very like Miyazaki coded, and they have a friendship. It's really, really cute, sweet, really cool designs. There's these 3 villains who are 3 bumbling brothers who are played by Andy Samberg, Will Ferrell, and Flea, who are awesome. And they're not like pure villains. They're just like kind of idiots. And they're like, Larry, Curly, and Moe or something.
That's funny.
It's a fun movie. I liked it a lot.
Natalie Portman produced it.
Yeah.
And it's directed by Ugo Bienvenue. Arco. What was the other one you saw?
The other animated movie is called The Chainsaw Man, Reze's Arc.
Yes.
It's the Chainsaw Man movie, Reze's Arc.
Okay. Classic.
Which is an anime film. It's the first of the program of the After Dark series that I saw. That was also on opening night after One Golden Summer. An electric crowd at the Music Box, sold out. It was hilarious. It's like do you know it's like a high school thing?
No, I don't know anything about Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
I pretty much, I don't know really most things about anime, but definitely not that one.
I thought it was like hundreds of episodes. It's 15 episodes. They're pretty short. And there's a manga series, but it's sort of like demons mixed with humans. There's devils and angels, and like the people who hunt or protect people from these devils. And there's these like different types of devils basically. And it's also about the main character who's trying to figure out his love life choosing between these different girls who are trying to kill him. It's
classic.
Awesome. It was really funny. It really worked with the crowd. It was delightful. I had a great time. I'm going to get into anime in 2026. That's my goal. I've never been an anime boy. But everyone looked like they were having the best time.
Yes. And you met Pochita.
Yeah, I'm really close with Pochita now.
Yes.
Really disappointed that there was no Pochita in the movie.
Okay, that's really sad. What is Pochita?
I found this out also. Pochita is the reason why he has the chainsaw in him.
Okay.
So it's like an internal thing.
Huh.
I know. I guess I have to go back and do my research.
Yeah, you need to go watch all the Chainsaw Man.
Yeah.
Series.
My only note, shouldn't it be Chainsaws Man?
Does he have multiple?
It's his 2 arms and his head. He like pulls a string from his chest and it creates his chainsaws.
Huh. Interesting.
Anyway, Reze's Arc was great. She was a really great character, and I had just a great time. I was sitting between multiple anime people who were just delighted at every detail that I wasn't recognizing, and like it went into this weird art style, and everyone cheered, and I had no idea.
That's cool.
I think it was like the cover style or something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But yeah, it was cool. Good times. What about you, Paco? What did you watch?
I guess in the way that you have been watching all the animated movies, I'm trying to watch as many of the documentaries as I can. I'm not like a documentary expert, but a few years ago I started watching the films of Frederick Wiseman and listening to a podcast on those films, and that kind of has opened up my eyes into the world of documentaries and knowing more, trying to learn more about that. So what I watched was The Helsinki Effect, which is a Finnish movie directed by Arthur Franck, and it is the North American premiere of The Helsinki Effect. So The Helsinki Effect, it's kind of like, it's like a historical video essay featuring completely archival footage. There is AI, and it's narrated, I believe it's narrated by the director. It has this very like cheeky narration style where the director is kind of like explaining like, it's about this conference in the mid-70s between Europe and the Soviet Union and the US that was essentially like this conference that they set in Finland because Finland has like a complicated relationship to the Soviet Union. And the argument in the film that the film presents is that this conference was sort of like really small and boring. Like the director is constantly like, this is so boring. He's like constantly like, I learned about this thing and it's really boring. All the footage is really boring. So he's got like a cheeky style, but the argument is that like a small conference that no one thinks about actually eventually led to the fall of the Soviet Union. And it uses AI because he uses like historical documents, and that features like actual conversations that like Brezhnev and Kissinger and Nixon, like they all had. And it uses AI to like, if there isn't a voice recording of the conversation, it uses AI to like do their voices in kind of a manner. I wasn't as bothered by it because he says like, I am using AI to make their voices.
Okay. Yeah, it's more on the surface.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, is that AI? I don't know. It's kind of complicated. Yeah. That kind of technology has been around for a long time. Yeah. One of my favorite dumb TV shows, For All Mankind, does that a lot. Because they do, it's like an alternate history, and they'll have like. You love For All Mankind. Yeah, it's really good. They'll have I gotta watch that. They'll have like Richard. After Nixon. I watch all of anime. Yeah, you'll watch For All Mankind. Yeah. So yeah, the documentary kind of. I was most interested in it when the director talked about sort of his process and sort of the things that he's learning as he's doing the archival footage, like looking through archival footage and like giving context and stuff. And the actual information, I wasn't really convinced by his argument. He essentially his argument was essentially that the conference was, the Soviet Union wanted to have the conference to talk about, to like put it on paper that the borders post World War II in Europe are firm. Because they were worried about like encroaching kind of Western influence on Europe and sort of like the potential that, you know, the US NATO was gonna like expand their borders. Right. And the US didn't give a shit about that, but they like kind of got these concessions out of the Soviet Union that were like signed in the Helsinki treaty or whatever, about saying that like the Soviet Union would allow more freedom of expression. And essentially the argument is that like because of this like concession that the Soviet Union gave, there were more dissonant groups within all those countries, and eventually like that led to the fall. Led to the dissolution. It kind of, I think that ignores a lot of like the history that also led to the dissolution of the Soviet Union. All documentaries are like, you know, like an essay. You have to come up with an argument. You have to defend it. It's sometimes oversimplifies bigger things, and I think even directors of documentaries would. Yeah, and say that it's like this many dominoes have been knocked over, but we're gonna follow this one path. Yeah, definitely. It was weird. I wasn't convinced. And then I had some issues with sort of the representation of the Soviet Union and the U.S. and kind of like, I think it makes sense because it's like, he's a Finnish director. Finland has a complicated relationship with the Soviet Union. They were like neutral-ish, but kind of because they felt pressured. They essentially, Finland spent the entire Cold War thinking the Soviet Union was going to invade them. Yeah. So they were like neutral. With a bent. Yeah. With this edge. Yeah. So obviously the director has a more negative view. But I mean, like he does like a thing where he like calls Kissinger a war criminal, but like won't bring up any of like why that is. And then he'll just talk about all the crimes of the Soviet Union, which is fair. But like, if you're gonna do a documentary, try to like go into it a bit more. But yeah, it was entertaining if you're into like historical or geopolitical stuff. I sort of feel like the kind of cheeky narration undermined the seriousness that he was trying to make it. But it was, I don't know, if you're into like history and stuff, if you want to hear Kissinger and Brezhnev talk about how they've lost weight, it's pretty funny. It isn't like AI them to kiss or whatever. That would be pretty great. Right. I would love that. Like it's like a kind of romantic thing. Yeah. Okay. I saw another movie, Paco, called Train Dreams. This is a Clint Bentley film featuring Joel Edgerton, Felicity Jones, and a few other folks. It's sort of like an epic scope picture portrait of this man. It's based on a novella by Dennis Johnson. It's about a man named Robert Granier, and sort of takes his life through the Pacific Northwest. He like is a logger, and he's an orphan who becomes a logger, and these like different lives that he takes. There's a lot of like voiceover and the very pretty images. Forest fires. It was the second movie I saw with forest fires. I was like, this is very clearly on the minds of filmmakers. Mm-hmm. I didn't like this one as much, Paco. I thought it was a very compelling cinematography reel.
with some pretty images in it. But Felicity Jones is just not someone I've ever believed on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been convinced. It's not that I don't think that it's not impressive what she does or what she did in The Brutalist or, here even, but like I was never in on her. I felt like it was just like, I saw like a lot of like glowing reviews of this movie out of Sundance, a Sundance that did not have that many good movies come out of it this year. And I was like really underwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like I was fighting to just pay attention in it, and I was trying to like it. And there was definitely moments. Kerry Condon was really good in it. Oh my God, what's his name from Fargo and Boogie Nights?
William H. Macy?
William H. Macy is in it and is really like plays like really weird and funny character.
Whoa, him?
Yeah, I know.
He plays a weird guy?
He plays someone out of pocket. He's a little strange, that guy.
Dude, how could you forget Dr. David Morgenstern?
But I also just think like he like everything that every character says is like supposed to be profound. It's like one of those, and it's definitely influenced by Malick. There's so much like just like lingering photo, like shots of nature and like characters' faces with the sun poking out right behind them. And I just lost my patience with it, to be honest. So Train Dreams, not for me. Might be for you, not for me.
Cool. I'm probably not going to watch it. It didn't sound that interesting. It doesn't look that interesting. But,
Yeah.
but
It's going to be playing at 35 millimeter at the music box.
Well, maybe.
Some people really like it. I don't know. Some people like it. I think, if Malick inspired things are your bag, go for it. You might like it.
Okay. Let's talk about the movie we saw today.
Yeah. The Secret Agent.
The Secret Agent, directed by Kleber Mendonça Filho. I don't know how to pronounce any Portuguese names.
Mm-hmm.
Portuguese, every other Romance language, I got down.
Yeah.
Like, I can like vaguely
Like
understand.
ow.
Yeah,
you get
but
the ow. It's like it's a rounder language.
Portuguese, I just have no clue where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Secret Agents, Brazilian film, political thriller about a professor in hiding who gets caught up in kind of the turmoil of the waning years of the Brazilian dictatorship. A dictatorship, I know a lot about a lot of those Latin American dictatorships. One that I'm not super familiar with, but I mean, yes, but I really love this movie.
This movie rocked.
This movie was really good.
Man, it really worked for me.
Yeah.
From like the get, like
Yeah.
right that first scene. We're not going to talk too much about the movie because we do want everybody to go see it when it gets released. This is one of the many neon releases of the festival.
Yes, and it's Brazil's entry for
The Oscar.
Yeah,
And Maura Wagner
Wagner Maura. Yeah,
is Wagner Maura. It's in that direction.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. It sounds like two last names. He's really great in it.
He's very good. He's on a Chicago TV show called Shining Girls, which is a pretty decent TV show. He plays like a drunk ass Sun-Times reporter. He's decent in it, but I've never really clicked with him until this movie.
Yeah.
Once I saw him, and he plays Pablo Escobar in Narcos.
That's what I know him from.
That's so random.
I've seen like one episode of Narcos.
Okay, and he was in it. Probably.
Yeah, I did not like that, but that's fine.
But yeah,
he's brilliant in this.
Seeing him act in Portuguese
Yeah.
really like opened him up to me. I was like, wow, he plays. Yeah, he's a very subtle actor. He's really hot.
He's really hot, and all of the faces of all of the side characters were so interesting to me. I
Yes.
think we bemoan the lack of interesting faces in Hollywood these days.
Yeah.
And every side actor and character looked like just the most interesting person.
Yeah.
Whether that was the way that they were dressing, the way that they were blocked in the scenes, or just their faces, the way that they were cast. They're just interesting people. It was a very like engrossing film. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I was shocked by moments, horrified, but it was also incredibly humanist and about memory and trauma and all these things.
It's very funny and also incredibly tense, especially like the final 40 minutes. It's just like you're on the edge of your seat. It's really
the
insane.
encroaching fascism
Well, not even encouraged. Right at that point, they had fascism.
Fascism had encroached.
Yeah.
They were those who are running from
from
different
fascisms
and grouping together really.
Yes.
And then what comes of those things, the pieces that fall off, the memories have to be sifted through. Loved it.
Yeah, it was an interesting juxtaposition to the Helsinki effect in a certain way, because like that movie is also about like sifting through archives, but that was like the more like official story, like the stuff that like everyone remembers, like the big characters, and this is about like what about the narratives of like the day-to-day people who we don't think about, like the small people who like maybe only their families care about them. Like what did their lives look like under these horrible conditions?
Right.
I don't know, and I think I've seen a lot of this type of dictatorship type movie because obviously a lot of Latin American films are about this because they all lived through that. A lot of them, especially the ones that break into the US, a lot of them feel kind of are very serious because it's a serious topic matter and very didactic. And this movie didn't feel like that. No. I never felt bored. I never felt like overly like
lectured to or where this movie could have done that, and it wasn't. It was grabbing you by the neck and it was throttling you. It was about being in these characters' positions, and it was funny and sad, and entertaining, but not like exploitative. It walked a very fine line in it. I think
I was really impressed.
I thought of like Kostas Gavras I was telling you about, and Elio Petri are two directors from around the time that this movie is set. A little before, but really made movies that were political, that were, about this moment.
There's, Kostas Gavras.
Made films throughout.
Like, especially like Latin American films. This is around the time he was doing these. A few years, I think in like 1980, he made a movie called Missing. Have you seen that?
Never seen it.
It's like it's about the Chilean dictatorship and sort of like,
fascinating stuff. I do really recommend go out and see this movie in theaters when it gets released.
Yes. Thank you for listening to our first dispatch. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any complaints, feel free to email us at chicagopodfilmcast@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and then you can catch up with us on our next dispatches.
Please be considerate when talking on your phone or listening to electronic devices.